Good morning and welcome to yet another session of Daily Current Affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Sathya, bringing you yet another edition of the. I'll be going through the important headlines from national daily and also be looking at articles for reading and improving your English as well as vocabulary. So without further ado, let's jump into today's newspaper. A lot of ads in the beginning, and the very first page with news is the global page, where the biggest headline is Trump order. The biggest news headline is Trump order ending birthright citizenship to go into effect partly in the US in 30 days. So those who know about citizenship, there are two basic ways in which different countries offer citizenship to people. One is if you are born on the land of the country, then automatically you are considered a citizen. The second is you acquire the citizenship through descent or other things. So in US, any person born on US soil is automatically given US citizenship, which apparently has been a bone of contention. So the US Supreme Court agreed on Friday to allow President Trump to end birthright citizenship in some parts of the country, even as legal challenges to the constitutionality of the move proceed in other regions. So this is going to be a very interesting thing because as you must be aware, a lot of people from different countries, they specifically go to have the birth of the child on US soil with the hope that because the child was born on US soil, automatically he or she would be granted US citizenship, and then based on that maybe they can live the American dream. But this has been challenged by the US administration, and this news is definitely going to put a spanner in the works of many people who plan to get citizenship that way. So an interesting development to follow. From the Indian perspective, the Constitution of India, Part 2, talks about citizenship, the way in which citizens can get Indian citizenship. So read up on that if you're a law aspirant. The other news we get is Russia seizes key lithium field in a dare for US Ukraine minerals deal. Okay. The news is from Kiev, which says Russian forces have seized control of a valuable lithium deposit in the Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine, depriving the country of a critical asset that could have helped support a new economic partnership with the United States. So that's an interesting update in the conflict which is happening between Russia and Ukraine. So updating the news on the screen. It says the deposit just outside the Shevchenko village in western Donetsk was captured in recent days, according to battlefield maps from independent groups tracking Russian advances through geolocated combat footage. And although relatively small, just 100 acres, the deposit was seen by industry analysts as one of Ukraine's most valuable because of rich concentration of lithium, which is a mineral essential for manufacturing advanced technologies such as electric batteries. So the world moving a lot towards electric vehicles and other things dependent on electricity. Lithium like minerals are very, very important for that technology, and this can have certain repercussions. So news which I'm going to follow with interest. Okay. Another, you have Trump's claim that he will consider bombing Iran again. So that's a dangerous update on the Israel-Iran conflict, which has been happening, in which US also bombed a few sites. Okay. Bottom of the page, besides Israel, Hamas is fighting defiant clan leaders. Okay, that seems interesting. Moving on to the main first page, the biggest headline is Masgaon talks Lanka deal set to give India's big foothold in IOR. Okay, So in a major development, Mumbai-based defense shipyard Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited is poised to acquire a controlling stake in Sri Lanka's largest shipyard, the Colombo Dockyard PLC, in a deal worth almost $53 million. And this marks the first international acquisition by India's largest shipyard that builds submarines, warships, and other vessels, and will provide the country with a strategic foothold in the Indian Ocean region. Okay, so again, the Mazagaon Docks Lanka deal set to give India big foothold in the Indian Ocean region. So IOR is the Indian Ocean region, and obviously it's important to have control over your waters. Next, you have the photo image of the Rath Yatra which happened. So Rath Yatra is majorly carried out in Odisha at Jagannath Puri. The second biggest or the second most important one also happens in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, although now you can see multiple places, but traditionally it has always been at Jagannath Puri and in Ahmedabad, and this has been going around for decades. So that's an update of the Rath Yatra. Then there is an article which says the so-called Indus Water Treaty Arbitration Court is illegal, says India. It says they have no jurisdiction to rule on the legality of India's actions. So if you have been following the news, you would know that post the Pahalgam attacks, India decided to not go ahead with the Indus Water Treaty, which has been around for decades now, where it was about sharing of the Indus and its tributaries with Pakistan. And the waters from these rivers are a major lifeline to our neighbor. And of course, they would not want us to do it, and there would have been talks of arbitration. But India says that IWT arbitration court is illegal. Okay, we have never recognized the existence in law of this so-called court of arbitration. Interesting. Okay. Other than that, no major news on the main page. So we move on to the city page, where it is mainly about the events which happened during the Rath Yatra in Ahmedabad. And the biggest news is the elephants running amok during the procession, where one person was injured according to this article. Great. Okay, the next page is devoted to updates of the unfortunate plane crash, some updates regarding some crime, not important. Moving ahead to the next city page, again a lot of fraud, crime, so on and so forth, which is not relevant. The state page also seems to have a lot of crime related news, which I'm not going to pay much attention to. The nation page, okay. The biggest headline is 20 years after split, Uddhav and Raj to hold joint protest and to march against Hindi imposition in Maharashtra schools. Okay, this issue of language in India has been gaining a lot of prominence in the past few weeks or months, with Karnataka and Maharashtra being in the news for agitation against Hindi. Now, old people would remember that decades back there was an anti-Hindi agitation down south, where a lot of people from South Indian states, I remember from Tamil Nadu as well, were strictly against the imposition of Hindi. And although Hindi has never been the national language, because there is no official national language of the country, it has always been taken to be the de facto languages for communication in a lot of places. And there has always been a very strong protest against it. So now Maharashtra seems to be having Hindi protests as well. Moving ahead, President Donald Trump of the United States says that there's a very big deal with India in the offing. Okay. Amid a cloud of uncertainty over a limited trade deal with the US by July 9th, US President Donald Trump said that a very big deal with India is in the offing, indicating that the two sides are narrowing down the gap. Okay, so there's an entire timeline of things given, with the headline being Trump's tall treaty claims. So claims being made by the US president are being taken with a pinch of salt. So I'll keep following that, and let's see if there is any actual deal, any actual treaty which happens as a result of this. The next nation page, no big news. The next nation page, no big news. So quickly moving ahead with, and now we come to again just an update on the Rath Yatra which happened in Puri. Now the middle page, my favorite for language and vocabulary. So the topmost article is by Indira Ghosh, who's a columnist based in Hamburg, a former professor of English literature in the University of Fribourg in Switzerland. The title reads, "What Price Liberty? We are not free merely because there happens to be no restraint in our actions. True freedom means we aren't subject to the arbitrary will of one person or institution." Okay. Jokes, poems, and social media posts that trigger outrage among certain sections of society dominate the news and have fueled debate about the freedom of speech and its limits. Rarely, however, do we reflect on what freedom actually implies. Indeed, sometimes it seems as if our main concern is to secure the freedom of endless consumer choice. That seems to be a very, very interesting article, a viewpoint of a person on what freedom means. So I would very, very strongly recommend students preparing for different entrance exams to read this, to get some sort of reading comprehension practice, and also an opinion, although it is just the opinion of one person, but definitely an opinion on what is freedom. There can be great talking points that you can get from this. Okay. The left three articles, Gaming the Dragon, India needs a sophisticated China playbook. Okay, so that's an opinion about India-China. Right-angled wrongs, Bhopal sets new standard for weird bridges. Nothing important. Iran from the inside as well as outside. 4 books, 4 vivid renderings of the country. Okay, so the bottom left article is 4 books about based on Iran, I believe. So I guess for those who are on the lookout for new books to read to expand their knowledge, would definitely be reading this and see which one of the 4 catches your fancy. Okay, the middle column, Global Disorder, No Rules, All War, is by Rashmi Roshanlal, who is a columnist based in London. The byline reads, "From Iran to Gaza to Ukraine, a pattern of unchecked conflict is bypassing law and diplomacy, taking the world towards a dangerous new normal." So this seems to be a generalist view on the various conflicts happening. So people interested in geopolitics should definitely read this middle column. So a lot of interesting articles in today's middle page, editorial page. Business page, JSW to buy Dulux Paints business for 9,000 crore rupees. Sensex tops 84,000 mark after 9 months as foreign funds buy. Government nudges banks to push lending after RBI's rate cut. Okay, just things which people interested in business and economics would be going through. The sports page has an article on football and one on badminton. Shuttle service to bleak future. So that's bleak future is something which is not promising. After the heady days of Saina and Sindhu, Indian badminton has slipped alarmingly. BAI needs to get its act together to arrest this slide. So that seems to be a viewpoint on how India's performance in badminton is actually going down. Okay. The next sports page, the main thing is a clear plan behind good start to batting transition. So I think that's an update between the India-England test match which is happening. A lot of cricket-related news, but nothing major. Which brings us to the end of all the news which is there in today's newspaper. So other than the updates of the Rath Yatra, interesting updates on Trump's claims, the citizenship-based news is definitely which I would be following with great interest. So that pretty much brings us to the end of today's session. Do hit that like button, share with your friends, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so, and leave your comments below. With that, this is me, Sathya, calling it a day. Wish you all the best. Have a good day.